Did you watch the last episode of Dump City? Good, then let's pretend I'm the same host. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. We got the screen loaded here on a scenario that's a little dangerous, that is risking the world as we know it. I'll explain shortly, but something happened between episodes here that could cause the game to end, okay? And the clues to what happened between years are on the screen right there. What do you think happened? There's some of the elements. While you ponder that, I'm going to tell you what's in the show. You know, obviously having some good subjects in your show, in addition to, playing video games is entertaining. I've lowered the gain on the mic a little bit. It's not quite as loud as before. Hopefully I don't have to stand or, sit 2 feet back from the microphone so it doesn't oversaturate. What's in the show today? Well, I got a variety of topics. Some of it interesting, maybe some of it isn't. We're going to talk about a 109-year-old man. I saw a video of a 109-year-old man. I'll tell you about what I learned from that. I'm going to tell you about some human experiments, or some experiments we're going to conduct in this world. In this episode, we'll do experiment number 2, but we will also have experiment number 3 explained. I ate a rotten watermelon last week. Again, I have no money. I don't have enough subscribers, so I don't make money yet. And I have a roommate who left a watermelon in the fridge and it was rotten. Well, it smelled funny, but I'll tell you what happened after I ate that. Again, as some of you might know, I live in Canada and it's not a socialist place. This is a very, very cutthroat capitalist country with fake healthcare to make you think that people really care if you survive or not. So eating rotten food in your fridge is a common thing for people who don't get endorsed by the government. Make no mistake, there is a socialist government, but it's socialism for the rich here. I have some ideas for Google Play. As a software developer, I have an app on Google Play, and I have some issues with the way it works. So I have some suggestions on how Google can improve their Play Store to make the software a little bit better. I'm going to talk about a domestic terrorist I admire. I saw this show on a domestic terrorist that I admire. So I'll tell you what this person did in the show. And I'm dealing with an addiction too, how I'm dealing with it, how I survive with my addiction too. So just a few of the topics. In the world here, we have some problems. As you can see here, we have a fire truck heading to a fire station. It was recently repaired. As you can see, it has no wear and tear. Now, if we play a bit here, watch what happens to this fire station. This is a hint. Like, this game is much harder than realistic mode. Like, in reality. Reality wouldn't be this hard. Did you see that? Did you see how this went from 0 firefighters to 39 firefighters? So whenever you send a new fire truck to a fire station, the level of the fire truck gets added in terms of number of firefighters. So that's probably okay. If it starts with 0 to begin with and it goes to the size of it, I'm okay with that. But during the winter, I repaired 2 fire trucks in this fire station here. And this has 221 capacity. And I did them one at a time. And as I took them out and brought them back, like if it's a level 39 and you have 12 firefighters currently assigned, you would think that it would go up to, 51, 12 plus 39. But that's actually not what happens. When you park a new fire truck into a fire station, it resets all the settings and every truck goes to maximum capacity. What's that mean? So twice during the year, I did that, and I'm doing a lot of things, making sure I'm not going over the fiscal cliff. But in the process of doing that, a fire truck, instead of going to 51, went to 221 twice. And you don't notice the problem right away when that happens. It basically will let you operate your society. Like, you don't see that everyone's in the fire station. There's a lot of buildings here, right? And, I'm usually seeing if we got too many workers in the brewery or in dump HQ, but I'm not usually following the fire stations. So what happens is eventually, after a few days, the workers, they're all getting grouped up in there and they don't show up anywhere else. Two of the places they weren't showing up were garbage incinerator and the coal heating plant. And as a result, there wasn't enough heat. And in addition to that, Dump City itself, where we process all our trash here, it was short on workers. So once it started working again, I had a huge pile of waste here, but I didn't have enough workers to process it. And this went on for about a month each time before I noticed the problem. I thought about reloading the game, like from before a winter, but it was too far before winter. And I'd done a whole bunch of like I relayed some things here, like this interchange here. This took a lot of time to lay out. I didn't want to redo that. This is what I was doing while the firefighters were all deciding to be firefighters and not doing any other jobs. Because people were freezing, we lost about 400 people. 400 people died because of this firefighter issue. The happiness, look at this, it's down to 42, 41% in our apartments. Again, I do have a save of this game from about a year ago. So if this ends up being the end of the series because of my silliness and not paying attention in doing what I just did here and, you know, resetting the firefighters to a sensible amount. And again, I think we would have been okay if the behavior of this was just increase the firefighters by the number of people at the level of the fire truck you added. So not only did we lose that many people, our borrowing power is down to 325,000 right here. Again, as you know, once that gets to zero in US dollars, we cannot borrow any US dollars. That means we can't buy crops to make frozen pizzas or beer. We can't make clothing because we have to buy these things. And our only solution is going to be if we can get these crops out here in Houston and have them brought over by train if we run out of the ability to buy crops from Canada. But the problem is we still aren't connected here. This has been taking forever to build this rail link here. I had another issue too where I was trying to build this link and it would create an error when I was trying to build from this side. So I don't know if it's because it's too far away or what's causing that. I decided to start building other tracks with our track builder in this area instead, rather than wasting more time on that. If it ends up being there's some sort of glitch in the track here too, and I have to demolish it and rebuild it, not the kind of delays we need given the situation we're in here. Let's see what else here. The microphone seems a little bit loud again, even though I lowered it by 10%. I think when I'm talking, doing a show, I'm actually talking quite a bit louder than I would normally talk. It's like more of a presentation voice. I'll sit a bit further back. It's not as bad as last time, I'll tell you that. What'd you think of that intro? Same host as last time, right? You'll have to double check. I assume sometimes people just jump into a random episode, okay? So I'll have fun stuff with that. Maybe you're curious to see who the host was of the last episode now, right? That's how the intros go. And some of the intros coming up are going to be quite weird, okay? That's the most normal one I'm going to do for a while. You got to keep it a bit normal sometimes, right? What else is going on in the world here? Ooh, look, check this out. This was done between episodes too. This aggregate belt here that was connecting from Dump City got spliced in. So this is the kind of things I was doing while the fire trucks were stealing all the workers and I didn't notice. Now we can splice in a new line from here. Okay, so it's doing the same thing as before, feeding into our scrap recycling where we take, aluminum scrap and steel scrap and make useful metals out of it. But now we have another feeding point, so more garbage can fit into it. So that will come from another separation facility, which is planned for over here, and a third one for over here as we get there, as we develop. We're also building another dump here. We're constantly having issues where delivering a garbage will overflow this buffer because, if say your orphanage falls down and you have to put all the trash in there at once, it just overburdens it. So we're going to have another input built here. And this one actually has rail connections. So once the rail network is finished, we'll be able to drop off garbage this way. It'll make it a little easier to manage the trash this way with a little bit more buffer space. And this will feed into both these two new general separations. This one might get built by the end of the series. This one may not, but it's in position here, right? That's the main thing. So that's one of the things we did between episodes. I improved the forklift path here. Check this out. You know, before we had our ultimate vehicle scrapping and repair setup here, where basically we take the parts of old vehicles, we process them into mechanical parts. We'd have to do a little bit of electrical work over there. And ultimately, we create the parts we need to repair our existing vehicles here just using forklifts. We were using passive supplies. The only way we could get steel and aluminum inside our vehicle repair station here was if we used a distribution office to move it from here to here. But by doing this, we can, now the forklifts do it. So the forklifts will move the steel and aluminum. And just a bit of a pro tip here. If I was to not have this connector right here, I wouldn't have been able to connect it any way at all. This was too sharp of a turn. The only way you can make it turn this sharp was a very precise placement of a connector like this. It's pretty much had to be there. This was the only way to do it. So just sometimes maybe chaining them. If you can't get your forklift paths to fit through very narrow spots, like I was lucky. This was literally to the millimeter precision. If this was parking lot was any closer, this would be impossible to connect. So that was kind of lucky in a way. Makes up for the fire truck issues. What's going on with this district here? Okay, so the people here, this is our Snobville apartments, and we've had constant food shortages here. And we got another apartment building here that's getting built that also lacks food. So we need to start building a mall. This is partly why we're on the border of bankruptcy here. It's because I started building this mall in this district. And again, this will feed people, provide clothing, sell them their, tablets and all the toys they want. And this will keep them happy. This should theoretically boost the productivity in this range, but we have no other mall serving these apartments, and we have plans to build several more. So that's what's going on over here. Let's just press some play here. Let's get some action going here. G-Hub did another update again. They do updates regularly. After my spiel on how you should do releases every 6 months, and you should have no new features in the final 3 months. It should be just internal critical fixes. That's how you deploy software like a professional. But if you're a capitalist, shareholder-driven organization that believes that constantly updating things is good for the economy by breaking things, right? Literally, they broke my microphone. They've done this multiple times now. Almost every major software company has interfered or damaged my ability to operate more than once in the past year. Okay, that's just how they operate. Because then they sell you the fix, or then they justify their existence. And this goes on. And until we put a stop to capitalism in this manner, we're just going to be tortured. All of us are going to continue to be tortured. It's such a shame too. We have so much more knowledge than we used to have 20, 30 years ago. But due to capitalism, we're held, 10 to 20 years back. We have just inferior products being made because no one wants to take the time to properly go through a test cycle. Instead, they just react as fast as they can because that's what makes the most money. The lower the quality you make something, MVP, right? I have a speech on the MVP. That's what you get with capitalism, is the minimum viable product. Okay, we have another project here we're going to do here. So experiment number 2. In the previous episode, we did experiment number 1. To see if someone would move into this house, and they did. However, they died over the winter, okay? But as soon as it gets a little bit warm, I think they're going to move in here again. And we had as many as 5 people in here before they all froze to death. So the next experiment is, are we going to be able to make them happier with a pub? And this will be the only service they have in this area is alcohol. And I want to see the highest we got, the happiness level was about 50%. Well, until they froze. They were very unhappy at that point. And we had up to 5 people in this house. So the question is, when we build this pub, will it go higher than 50%? Will we have more than 5 people move into the house? You might be interested in this. How much can alcohol substitute for other services? And what are the consequences of it? We'll see. We're going to find out in this episode. That's experiment number 2. And then I'll tell you what experiment number 3 is later in the episode. I did Jimmy rig a few things here to start selling a little bit more, improve the economy a bit, because we are about to go bankrupt here. And this is the most stressful. There's always something stressful happening whenever I do one of these shows. It's like the camera's not working, internet's disconnecting, microphone's not working, or it's distorted, or it's not filtering, or it's too loud. There's always something wrong. But this one, it's the game itself. This is the closest to bankruptcy yet. And I do have some ideas from upcoming shows, but if this continues like this, oh well, we'll see. We'll have to come up with another plan. I actually had a different title originally scripted for this episode, but I changed it last night because of the financial condition that I'm in here right now. So let's just keep an eye on things here. Oh, we set up a shuttle last episode where, you know what? I'm going to destroy my own car here. 82%, I'm not repairing that. It's a 20-year-old car. So we set up this shuttle last episode to move our people in our experimental house to see if they would, go to work. And they did, surprisingly. But the car is in very bad condition. I'll just show you one little thing here that might be interesting. I bought another car. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rename this one Brento's new car. It's the only red one. Super fast. And again, I bought this one in rubles. Okay, so don't say, oh, you're going bankrupt because you're wasting money. Effectively, we had 350,000 plus 300,000 in the bank, so 650 basic borrowing power. Rubles, we're still close to 8 million. Like, we're doing fine in rubles. It's just that interest rate, it's such a big deal. Again, interest is a scam, as you know. The rich people wanting money for having money as a fee for their money. Instead of calling it what it is the reward itself, right? That's what wealth is. That's the reward. You shouldn't be rewarded for being wealthy. That makes no logical sense. And that encourages very bad behavior, especially people who have the money to really lead that don't really do anything about it, that they expect more money out of it. If you have money, spend it. That's why you were given money in the first place. As you know, I am fighting an addiction. You know what that addiction is? It's video game addiction. I play too many video games. And you know how I fight this addiction? I make a show. That's the only day I'm allowed to play video games is when I make a show. Or at least if I'm streaming on Twitch. But that's the only time I'm allowed to play. So I don't play the video games in between. I don't have time. I'm so busy editing and I'm trying to promote with people, but basically all I do is this, okay? Except I do have a video game addiction. I wanted to play a little bit. I wanted to redo my winter because of the issue I had with the fire trucks, but I'm not allowed to because I'm not allowed to play video games when I'm not, on air. So this is how I deal with my addiction, is that I can only play if I make a show, right? And this makes it so that, in theory, right, it makes the show a little bit better because, I'm wanting to play more because I am addicted to this video game. But at the same time, I won't overdo it. I won't burn out this way. Maybe it's good for the show and it's good for me, right? Maybe this is a tip for other addictions you have. Make it so that your addiction can only be done if you do it in conjunction with something positive or something that, makes you money or is good for society. Like, obviously I'm a poor person, so I need to make money. But if you're not a poor person, you have an addiction, then do your addiction in conjunction with something else, right? You don't want to quit your addiction. It's hard to quit addictions. It's counterproductive sometimes if you try to go cold turkey, because then you just relapse because you crave it so much. But with me, I don't technically stop. I play the video games, but I make a show. So that's how I deal with my video game addiction. Maybe it'll help you. Okay, that was one topic that was on the list here. Some of the other ones might be more interesting to you. To me, the most interesting is the domestic terrorists that I admire. That's the most interesting topic of the show. I'll probably do that one later in the show. Actually, the 109-year-old man is maybe even more fascinating. And that's another thing. When all these people left the city, basically, yeah, I had to recalibrate the food production and everything. It's such a nightmare. There was actually 13,600 people in the city at one point, like near the start of winter. So we're actually down to the same amount we were last year because of it. So all the gains we made last year were lost because of that firefighter glitch. Okay, let's check things out over here. I don't think we have any construction projects planned in China. And we're still building rails as fast as we can here. We've actually connected the rails to Houston here, to this. It's just been building super fast in this direction. And maybe this will even be double tracked. And again, this is just using steel from China, which is, relatively cheap. Or at least it doesn't really seem to matter when it comes to affecting our borrowing power, because like $8 million in borrowing power is plenty. Okay, we're up to 385 now. That's maybe a little higher. It's going up a little bit. Like, we can't get worse. And what's really killed us was the fact that, as you know in the game, the happiness level affects productivity, right? So all these workers are less productive than they were. So it's going to take some time to fix things here. I think we've also had like earthquakes 3 out of 6 years, which is ridiculous. This unneeded expenses. So this mall should help out here too. This will allow us to really grow our population in this district here once this mall is built. The mall here doesn't reach into that quadrant. See? If you look at the walking distance, it can't go that far. What's going on here? It's garbage is going in there. No. It's not supposed to do that. How does it even do that? Oh, I didn't know you could do that. You can have an output garbage. Is it not going into the big waste bins? Oh my goodness. Okay, I didn't know you could do that. Okay, but this is a one-way garbage delivery. This is one way. Okay. I didn't know that. There's another thing learned with waste processing. These big bins are only used if you don't have an output for mixed waste. So technically, I could connect this directly to a heat incinerator. Okay, well, I didn't know that. Maybe we'll consider that for the design and one of these over here. We'll see if we can maybe fit in a heat incinerator. I don't know if it's actually that big a deal because you have to kind of stockpile it because you only run the heat incinerator half the year anyways. So I think you still might have to kind of move them around and buffer them this way. But I didn't know that. I thought there was no way to avoid these big containers to move to heat incinerators. Learn something new every day. Something to keep in mind in a future super dump city. And if someone ever builds a better dump arrangement than this, I'm just going to go over here and build an even bigger one, once with everything learned. So it will be like the old dump city and the new dump city. All like it's just going to be a bunch of dumps. That's why it's called Dump City, right? I'll put like the mega dump over here or something. This is our practice dump. Okay, this again, it's much harder when you're kind of unlocking things a little bit at a time. It's not like you have the technology. You can't build everything. You don't have enough money to start off with. You don't have the technology to place all the buildings. Like, so you don't even know where the heat incinerator would go. It has no footprint you can lay out until you unlock things. So once you have all the buildings required for your dump unlocked, then you can plan a big dump. But we'll see how that works. This is sort of our first dump, right? First season dump. and should be good enough. I think it'll serve its purpose. This is where we deliver the trash. So technically this here, what we could do is we could pick that out here. We want to get that into the heat plant so that it can be burnt. So we'll get these trucks to move it out of there. And it has claws, so it should move out pretty fast. This is going to make winter management a lot better now that we have this dump here. You've probably noticed in multiple episodes, this dump here is like, been overflowing. And we're like, oh no, what do we do? And like, I set up a temporary dump, I'm panicking, lots of money gets wasted, but now we have this massive surplus dump. This thing will never clog. In fact, I'm going to set all the once this gets emptied out by actually, let's set this to 0. Oops, sorry, this one. Let's set it to pick up at 0. So if there's any amount in there, it's going to load it. It's going to completely scour that mistake that was happening here of the trash and bring it into the crematorium here, which is generating a bit of heat. These dumps here, these should all be full, providing resources to provide heat, but we're still recovering from that problem. Again, thankfully the weather's getting a little bit better, so we're being punished less. But by next winter, I think everything will be fixed up again if we don't go bankrupt. We can't have this happen again. I think next year I'm going to do a save right before winter, just in case something like that happens again. What's going on in Houston? Probably not much. The only thing I ever really do in Houston here is make sure that the waste containers aren't overflowing. Oh, make sure we got enough fertilizer. Oh, we don't have enough fertilizer. Oh, there you go. There's something to do. Good thing we checked on Houston. And we have an empty big garbage truck doing nothing here. This will then grab fertilizer and refertilize. So that will help with the crops. All our trucks are in really good condition here. We got the biggest, look at this, wear and tears, they're all 0. This part's running very nicely, very nicely. Like, the secret to Houston's success is that there's no one that lives in here. That it's all run by immigrants. All the workers come from the Russia custom house and the China custom house. And we could have even more workers producing even more cows if we weren't building this rail network. So that's the other positive thing of completing the rail line here. Are we going to be done within the next 2 years? Because I don't know how many. Like, we can't go have problems like we just had last winter again. Okay, if that happens again in the next 2 years, we're kind of screwed. We could probably send these trucks over, but they're not going to be able to move crops in like at nearly the rate we currently are. Like, just a bit of a reminder too. Like, this train here has 214 tons of crops. That's like 18 truckloads going 150 kilometers an hour at a much shorter distance. That's how fast we bring the crops in. And we pretty much emptied every load. Once the rail line's built, we're probably going to need 2 or 3 trains to be doing this. But then we won't have to spend US dollars anymore. And that will save us if we can get connected. But this realistic mode is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Oh, I got to borrow money super quick here. See, there we go. We just lost a bunch of happiness because I was a little slow. We can't run out of rubles because we lose electricity when that happens. That was kind of silly, that one. There we go. We're going to go bankrupt because of that. Because I wanted to talk about a conspiracy. Okay, we're up in close to, not 50% at all of them. But 3 of them are 50% now. So that's better than it was. They were all under 50%. I have a conspiracy theory. Okay? This is an actual conspiracy that I want to start, and I'm going to make it up, and it might be true. So scientists have to look up if this is true. And this conspiracy is that shampoo and the chemicals in shampoo cause genetic modifications that make a person bald in the future. Okay, this is the conspiracy. Again, because we believe in capitalism and consumerism and selling nonsense, one person selling nonsense to another, more than half the stuff you buy is nonsense products. And I think shampoo could be a long-term nonsense product. Maybe naturally once every 3 to 6 months, using shampoo to clean your hair makes sense. But I suspect that baldness is caused by shampoo with the sulfates. It might not affect you in this lifetime, but like, as you know, things like polio, for example, that's a multi-generational kind of situation. The symptoms don't show up immediately. So I am of the suspicion that baldness is not natural for men and for women, and it happens due to overusage of shampoo. And the reason it happens, it skips generations, is because if you go bald in the next generation, you don't use shampoo, right? Because you don't have any hair to clean. So it fixes itself naturally. I've never actually verified any of the science behind this. The stuff I've been taught about shampoo is just as baloney as what I'm teaching you right now. Okay, and again, this is a joke too, so don't sue me. Okay, it is a joke, but I'm hypothesizing that male pattern baldness is caused by multi-generational use of shampoo, and it corrects itself every generation because of the lack of hair and the lack of shampoo. Someone should actually investigate to find out if that's true. This is the show, okay? It's a bunch of this. Me playing a video game and saying random ass crap. And again, have you heard that argument before? That it's sulfates or whatever in your shampoo could be passing on? It could be true. It could be that shampoo only exists because of capitalism, right? It really could be. All right, let's keep an eye on things here. Let's see how our pub's doing here. We want to do some experiments here. Okay, let's make this a high priority. We gained a little bit, and pubs are really, really cheap. This will cost us maybe $20,000. And I think, oh yeah, we're going up a little bit here. The reason our economy is getting better is because people are getting happier in these buildings. Okay, we had, oh, okay, now there's only one building that's under 50%. So during the episode, you can see the difference in spring. This is why winters are so horrible. It literally lowers productivity unless your heat management's perfect. So things are improving here. Let's check if fertilizers. Oh, we got a little bit of fertilizer here. A little bit more coming in here. See, this is what this. Houston's so easy to manage. This is how you, like, honestly, if you wanted to hack the game and cheat and set a world record at the most productive, realistic mode, all you would do is just at every pair of custom houses, you do this. That's what you would do, because you don't have to. There's no people to take care of. You don't have to feed them. You don't have to do anything for them. You don't have to give them houses. Nothing. You just bring in immigrants to operate your pure capitalist enterprise. You could do that every 2 custom houses, and it would just make infinite money. So the main plot is, just so we're clear here, the main plot of this episode is, can we get this pub built and see if it affects anyone. We might not have much data in this episode, but that's sort of experiment number 2, okay? We'll keep a track on that throughout the rest of the series. And again, if you're playing the game, you might be curious to see how that works. Oh, you know what the problem is? I tore down this path. Okay, we got to fix this so people can't get in the house. So let's reconnect that there. And now they can go directly to Dump City Pub. Disease Research Facility. Okay, so I'm going to give you a bit of a spoiler. Experiment number 3. This is a spoiler. You should always watch this show in chapter mode. Here's how experiment number 3 is going to be conducted. Okay, so experiment number 2 involves alcohol's effect on people. So the baseline without alcohol present is up to 25% of this house will get full. It has electricity, has no water, and they can be up to 50% happy, okay, at best. Okay, and that's only when they just move in. It goes to 0 every time. They eventually move, and they always die in winter. Experiment 2 is to see if alcohol improves that, and what other kind of effects alcohol has. But experiment number 3, I'm going to reintroduce again later. I actually disabled experiment 3, which is happening a little bit But experiment number 3 is disease research. So, more notably, once alcohol keeps them a little longer into winter, and we set up a shuttle to bring them into work. And I'm going to conduct this late into the series because it could kill everyone. Okay? Let me explain. So let's say someone is sick and they catch some sort of virus because of the conditions of this house, which is literally the worst house you could make. Like it has electricity, but that's about it. So if we bring them to work and they're sick, and we bring them to very busy workplaces, does the diseases or do their sicknesses spread? Could this become a source of contagion? Can a single bad actor basically wipe out all of civilization in an experiment like this? Maybe. And to potentially increase the odds of it, I am considering attaching this water substation to this water intake near the sewage discharge. So this is going to be the most polluted water. This has been 20 years of cesspool, this lake. Now, if the first stage of the experiment doesn't have any effect, stage 2 is to build this and see what happens. But that will be future episodes, and we'll learn something from that, hopefully. Is it better to take care of your poor as a priority to take care of your rich? Is sort of the argument there. That's experiment number 3. It takes quite a bit of time to advance a year. I'll say 12 hours to advance 1 year in this game. I have to play that much. And 1 or 2 mistakes like that, that's all it takes in realistic mode. And again, don't play realistic mode if you're just starting the game. That fire station issue, that will anger a lot of new players because they'll be, well, what's that got to do with anything, right? I didn't make a mistake. Why do they all want to be firefighters as soon as you move a fire truck into a fire station? Let's look for problems in the world. That's another thing to do. Oh, I got my coffee machine. I should have turned it off before the show started. It beeps in the background. Stupid coffee machine. I got it for $10 used. I had to fix it twice. It's got leaks, so I got to make coffee in the sink. Ooh, okay, this truck here, 53%. How old is it? 22 years? No, we're gonna kill this truck. I'm starting to stockpile some trucks here. I've disabled all the employees from the scrap facility right now. This was part of measures to deal with losing 400 people. To get back up to 13,600 is going to take a while. Okay, which was actually, I believe, our all-time peak population, but then one little mistake. One mistake undoes everything. I say one controversial thing in a YouTube comment and everything else is thrown out the window. That doesn't make any sense. People need more freedom, you know? There's a difference between being controversial and wrong. That thing I said about the shampoo thing, that's not wrong because you don't know if it's true or not. It's wrong to say it's true, but I'm just saying it's a theory. It could be true. Oh, we got a research program. Oh, we discovered automobiles. Well, well, well. Well, 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 well. You know what we're going to discover next, though? We're going to discover geological mapping. I got to do this. Should have been done a long time ago. But that is part of the agenda of this episode. We're going to make again, this is Los Angeles. We want to create gridlock traffic just like real Los Angeles. And the only way you can do that is if you make American cars. Capitalism, right? That's why gridlock exists. Because capitalists can live forever because of selling infinite cars. And that's the American dream, right? It's monkey see, monkey do. Watch something in digital pictures and you'll want it. And all you got to do is make it so that other people appear to want it too. And you'll, like an ape, you'll chase it. And we've known this for several decades. And that's what causes the American dream of owning a car to happen. How's the heat here? Looking okay. Maybe we could put a few more workers in the radio station now, as the need for coal heat decreases, the need for entertainment increases. Looks like this is in bad condition. Is it just me, or does that look like it needs to be repaired? Let's see what the condition is. It says 11%, but is that really how nice it... Was that like a relatively new mall in Soviet America? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe once it gets in bad condition, it looks even worse. Again, this is communism in Los Angeles, so pros and cons to it. Like the thing they don't actually tell you about communism, and just look this up in any communist nation where there's still people that used to live, like older people who've experienced, 20 plus years, I guess 30 years of capitalism, and they can remember the time before that. And the vast majority of them say life was better under socialism. So it goes to tell you something, right? That if you talk to the people directly, it's not what you're taught by the media. The media will always tell you that it's a socialism is torture, right? That's what they always tell you, because the media is controlled by capitalists, and capitalists profit off slavery. And that's what that's what capitalism is. You're slaves to the capital owners. So they'll always teach you that your freedom is a bad idea, and most people are too stupid to see through that. Now, don't get me wrong, if you got a good paying job in the capitalist system, you're debatably doing a little better than the average person in communism, but you're doing significantly better than the average person in capitalism, which is the argument. Like, you'd probably have to be making 200 grand a year in a capitalist society to be doing better than you would be doing in a socialist society. Under 200 grand, you're probably better off under socialism. Like 199 grand or less, socialism's probably a better option for you. That's just, because of cost of living differences. Socialist countries are so much more affordable. Like, these inflation problems you see in the West don't exist in socialist nations, because that's specifically what they do. They encourage deflation. And contrary to popular belief, deflation is actually good for the majority of people. It's only bad for the super rich, and that's why they'll never do it, because the super rich decide on policies. So creating deflation is not in their interests, and that is because they're primarily invested in a lot of assets, and if their assets go down in value, like homes, right? It's mostly property speculation. Worldwide, this is the most common way to sink money. And if deflation were to occur there, that would be bad for them, right? So they'd rather everyone else have a high cost of living just to keep their investments stabilized that way. If you're making like 150 grand a year, you'd still be making 150 grand in a socialist environment, but things would just be cheaper. That's the difference. So why would you be against that? You'd be silly to vote for keeping things the same. Let's check on things here. How are we doing for supplies? We got everything's looking good. Track's going. Appears to be no issues. We can't have any delays with our track building. Okay, this segment here, this little segment's getting done. Slowly. We're building our other line here. We don't need both lines to operate this line, but actually what I want to do is once we connect to the US line, I want to basically scrap the original track builder and just have one track builder at each track construction facility, or build a new track construction yard here. However you build metro. I still don't know how to build a metro line. I'm going to have to look that up. You know what I'm going to do soon here? I'll talk about my Google Play app. Again, I'm the victim of capitalists who didn't want to invest in my products. Like, I did market research. There was demand for it. I did scientific research, theoretical research. I did practical research. But they all wanted to see some sales figures first before they would invest in my company. And in order for me to develop the injection molds and to create any sales figures, I needed the money in the first place. So, it was circular logic. It didn't even occur to them that someone could invent something and not have enough money to go commercial. They just assumes everyone has enough money to do that. Do that first, then we'll invest in it. Not realizing they're the only ones with enough capital to do that. It's probably somewhere from $500,000 to a $2 million investment needed. Like, think of producing televisions. Okay. The complexity of the device was similar to that of manufacturing a television. They expected me as an individual, a low income individual, to manufacture televisions, then show them the sales figure before they invested. They're also used to having the government and educational facilities sort of do research for them, and they don't have to pay for stuff because they get the public to fund development in things and then they invest in it afterwards. So they wanted to see that I could grift the system first, get you to pay with your tax dollars the cost to develop up front, then they would invest in it. They all thought the same way. They're all clones of each other. So I eventually, like, and this is in multiple countries too, not just Canada and the United States. This is in Europe. I saw this, and Asia. I saw this. I pitched everywhere, but all of them thought the same way. They couldn't understand the incredible cost of setting up a factory. It wouldn't get through to them, and therefore innovation must go through them. So something that's as useful as the machine that would automatically vent your house, the numbers indicate it would be as effective as installing solar panels up to a certain scale. It's reducing your expenses, but you won't see it because I also suspect too that they have investments that contradict the need to be energy efficient. They'd rather us continue to be energy inefficient in order to operate. So that would be their point of view. Again, these are not good people. Most of them aren't. And it cost me over 10 years of my life full-time working as, professional engineer. So I have quite a bit of equity in it. But there's other things in it too, right? Like I developed cloud-based software, and I developed a phone app too that operated the thing. All of it mostly ignored because capitalists control what you get. It's just the stupidity of that. Like anyone with any common sense could understand this is a circular logic, but none of them with the money could understand that. It just goes to show that these are just selfish and not necessarily the brightest people. Okay, that's the bigger concern. Is if you put the not the brightest people in charge of the economy, what do you think's going to happen to the economy? What do you think's like? You're affected by this. Okay, even if you're not an inventor screwed over like me, and even if you're not a rich person, you in the middle have a lower quality of life because you tolerate these capital classes to dictate everything. They basically pick your politicians for you. There's almost no one you're going to elect that isn't endorsed by someone with a bit of money out there. So just keep that in mind. You live in a non-reality. This is happening. First-hand experience. 10 years of my life developing stuff and 2 years of it trying to pitch it just to get ignored. This is the reality you live in, and I'm not the only one. I'm making a show on behalf of all the people out there who just get ignored by capitalists because they have other agendas. Capitalists will either ignore your idea and just hope you go away, or they'll steal it completely or steal parts of it and then continue to enrich themselves, say I'm an even more billionaire than I was before, and you won't know the difference because they control the media. All right, so as you know, I'm a software engineer. I worked for 15 years software engineer. Worked on the oil rigs to pay for my engineering degree. Was a software engineer for 15 years. Then tried it as an entrepreneur for, now it's been 12 years. I've gone without a paycheck. So I developed an app to control, my invention on the Google Play Store. And I have a couple of issues with the way the Google Play Store lets you manage their apps. First off, it is way too capitalist focused. It's actually designed to be very difficult for solopreneurs to manage an app. Basically, you need at least one person full time just managing the app. So that's probably the minimum, okay, you could have. If you have to do other things like marketing, legal work, accounting, inventing things, you won't be able to manage, an app on the store alone. It's just too much work. I have two suggestions to make the Google Play Store a little bit better. First off, I don't agree with this need to have so many listed testers. It seems a little discriminatory against smaller solopreneurs. I get it, you're trying to make a better quality product, but you're also creating a barrier to entry, limiting the quality as well. You're reducing the quality because you're reducing the number of people that are eligible. Like when you restrict the people that can enter a competition, then you lower the quality. Okay, it's simple as that. It just, even though maybe it is lower probability that a solopreneur is going to make an excellent app, it is still, nonetheless, there are some phenoms. And I think my app was pretty good. And all I ever needed was for, testing my prototype. It wasn't, it's really for internal testing. But there's two things that I think are bad policies. The first one is, those of you who don't understand how the Play Store works, the way it packages apps, is you create like a layer of application that then packages some libraries based on the device it goes to. So if you have API level 13 on your phone and someone else has API level 15, I'll deploy an app onto the Play Store, and based on what device it goes to, it'll package API 13 for one device and API 15 with another, and it will more or less work the same because there's supposed to be some compatibility levels. But the problem is, when I create it, I have to flag it for the latest available API level, which at the time of recording is 15, or probably 16, 17, 18 as you watch this in the future. So it forces me to reconfigure the upload. Like, it's just a policy of theirs. And if I don't adhere to this, they'll actually take away my product from the store. And I have to pay them again to get another license to re-upload things. So I think that's a bit of a disingenuous thing. Like, I get why you're doing it, and you expect me to test it each time, but as a solopreneur who doesn't have the time, and it's actually just an internal testing product, why am I supposed to be obligated to test on an API level that the product that I'm testing it on is not that API level? Like, I'm at API level 14 on my phone, and I'm forced to recompile it. Just all I'm doing is setting a flag that it says 15 now. And the way they've set up this environment, this could be automated. Like, it could be a build setting that legitimately allows you to automatically do it for. Now, I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, so I'm suggesting they create a feature. If you're the Google Play developer architect here, create a feature that lets you set it so that it can automatically go to the next one. This is primarily for the small business individual. This is for closed, maybe open beta testers, just because it's a drain of my time. And when you're a solopreneur and you have to waste a day or two to retro test everything, you're basically costing, tens of thousands of dollars, and you're passing it on to me. Okay, think about that. I know you got a comfortable job with what you're doing, but look at it the perspective of someone who isn't as fortunate as you. Okay, now this setting I'm suggesting of automatically, like the next time I compile it, I'd like to flag it automatically support the latest OS, because some of us actually understand what we're doing when we develop. I'm not just some kooky maniac here who doesn't understand how electronics work. I design electronics. I know how these things work, and I know what features are likely to be supported long term and which ones aren't. So basic things like writing text to a screen and showing pictures on a screen, I'm going to guess are in all libraries. So if that's all my app does, it's safe to use this setting on. Okay. Now, you could put some warnings when someone flags it to always be forward compatible. And you could also restrict it to only the small companies allowed to use it. See, this is where it becomes a winner. This is where you're like, okay, I see. So if someone has less than 50 downloads and they're still internally testing things, allow them to do this mode. Okay, then they can develop faster and it'll be ready for commercial usage faster this way, and you'll have higher quality products on your platform faster. But enforcing this for everyone, bad idea. I've already been the victim to this previously. I actually had to re-sign up again because my previous account got suspended because I didn't update on time. Okay, so I had to redo it again. I actually went over a year without an account because I always thought this was ridiculous. But now I have a platform to voice my opinion on. The technology is there to do this. This is a human decision not to do it. And I get why you would not do this for large applications, because you should, test your app with the latest API just in case, obviously. But for a small developer who's maybe got one person, and they're going to just call you if there's a problem, right? Why does there have to be so many tens of thousands of dollars wasted for that? You're filtering out the market. You're favoring the rich, and that's not a good thing. My other suggestion too is, and this was partly why I got into this situation, is when I did one of the releases, I released it as an internal closed test, and I didn't have the option to downrank it to internal testing. And I'm suspecting that the enforcement of this rule only occurs when it's other people are testing our software, and it doesn't matter if it's flagged as internal. But you don't allow me to go to internal status. So, and the UI when I release it looks the same. So when I do an internal release and a closed test release, it looks the same. And I accidentally released one as a closed test, and I'm like, oops. And there's no way for me to undo it, delete it, or downrank it. It's such a simple fix too. This one seems more like a cache. The two of these problems the Play Store has seem to be a bit of a cash grab, just to check if there's any people who have stopped, who've given up on developing because capitalists control what gets developed, right? That the capitalists have ignored them for too long, so they make more money off the poor people doing this by forcing you to have to re-sign up regularly. But those two fixes, I would allow apps to be built with the ability to support the latest operating system automatically, and in some cases that might be good for some products, because if it's just a very simple thing that doesn't use, like if it's a feature that's known to exist in every version of the operating system, great, that would be useful. And then when managing it, allow for downranking of statuses. Maybe if someone was a closed tester, it automatically just sends them an email that says, okay, this has been demoted from closed testing to an internal test. You as a user are now flagged as an internal user. If you don't want that, click here, send them an email, right? It's really not rocket science, but I suspect the Play Store makes a few $1,000s every few months off their policies, and they're just grinding the poor people. Okay, that was a topic I didn't actually want to talk about because I thought that it's too specific of a complaint that many of you without familiar with publishing software wouldn't, like, you go, what are you talking about? But I also thought it was just to give you a little bit of insight. The reason I kept it ultimately is because I thought it might be interesting for people who are unfamiliar with how software gets released on Play Store. Okay, let's check our heat here. Doing okay. It's getting a little bit warmer. It's 20 Celsius outside. We don't need the heat so much. How are we doing? We're doing good for time in the episode. Some of the best topics still to come. I always save them for last because I'm evil. I might be poor, but that doesn't change me from being fundamentally evil. Let's check out what's going on with our pub here. Okay, it's built here. Actually, let's just do... It has no water. Let's see if they go there anyways. Let's add one more stop. Okay, let's just pause this a little bit here. Let's deliver some alcohol from one of our distribution offices to the pub. Okay, so does Top Notch deliver alcohol? Oh, it does. It does. Let's add it as a stop for the Top Notch distribution office. I don't want to give it redundant distribution office service because I think that it is a little bit more fun. Like, it's not an important building, okay? This is just, these are surplus people out in the middle of nowhere, okay? Now, how come it's not picking up alcohol immediately? Do we not have enough alcohol? Are we not making it fast enough? Maybe not. Maybe not. Are we selling it somewhere we shouldn't? Are we selling our alcohol? Okay, let's stop selling. Okay, this is what we're doing. We're selling too much. Let's stockpile a little bit. I have to change that one a bit. See that? This makes us. This is partly why we were making a little bit of money this episode. It's because I was sending these trucks to sell at the expense of my people a little bit. But I think we're okay. I think our pubs managed to stay full enough. I want to stockpile again because I think our borrowing power is getting a little bit better now. Yeah, we're working. We're digging our way out of this hole. We're getting a little bit better. Maybe we're not going to go bankrupt after all. I think it'd be a good title for the episode. I don't want to confirm a title for this episode. Again, originally it was going to be called something different. It's going to be called Experiment Number 2, but I decided to call it something else. Yeah, we got a few topics here. We're running low on time. Some of the big topics. So I'm going to tell you what happened when I ate a rotten watermelon that I found. Found a rotten watermelon in the fridge. It was like a quarter watermelon. And it was very, very ripe in the middle, and it smelled a little bit funny. Whenever you eat something you suspect is rotten, it might smell funny, but there's the gag reflex. Take the first bite of something. If there's no gag reflex, then you can continue to eat it. So no gag reflex, but the texture of a rotting watermelon, like it wasn't so rotten that it was, like it smelled a little bit funny, and the texture, like it's got like a, assume everyone knows what a watermelon tastes like. Maybe some people in certain Asian countries or maybe some parts of the world, they don't have watermelons. But imagine what it normally tastes like, but it was, in some parts it was like very, very gooey, very soft, and not way too soft to be considered appealing. I didn't like the texture of most of it. But I eventually ate it, like I ate the whole quarter of the, like a watermelon wedge, 1/4 wedge of it in one day. I ate the whole thing throughout the day. And I just did it in one slice at a time every hour or so. And you know what? I didn't get sick. That's what surprised me. Sometimes I do these things where I eat something that, because I don't have the time nor the money to be buying food, okay? And if there's food in the fridge, if roommate leaves something behind, maybe there's something, I'll admit many times I've seen something in the garbage that I've eaten, okay? I'll just admit that. If it's not on something else, if it's clearly, it's like the George Costanza donut situation has happened to me multiple times. I've done that at a restaurant while working in a restaurant too. One time there was a veal parmesan there that was what was on a plate, and I was cleaning the dishes, and so I was like, this thing, they had one bite taken out of it, and I'm like, I'm just gonna put this aside, I'll eat it later. But the watermelon experiment was much more extreme, and no, I didn't get sick. It just wasn't fairly appealing to eat, and I felt like it toughened me up. Maybe there's something to it. Like I think once you get I'm not doing this just purely because I'm poor. I could alternatively sell this computer and not make a show, which obviously would be the incorrect decision. I think maybe too it toughens you up a little bit. Like if it gets into your gut, there's some theories on this, like necrosis in bananas, for example. It's like you see old aged bananas. If you get into your gut, it gets rid of all things, basically bad things. So every now and then, I wouldn't recommend eating a rotten watermelon every day. It was just very, very ripe and just smelling a little funny. Just to the point where I could smell it. Like, this is a little funny smelling. And I wouldn't eat it fast, and I wouldn't... If there's someone else that lives with you, maybe split it with them. And maybe it makes you healthier in the long run. Once it goes through your gut, then it's gotten rid of all the bad things that might be there. And maybe you're healthier as a result, right? There's some theories on this. The truth is, you should be eating some slightly bad food. And there's some people who do understand that. There's some people who will, but obviously capitalists are going to always say, throw something out after a day, right? Because that's just how you remain enslaved. But the truth is, you should be eating rotten food now and then. Next episode, I'm going to tell you about the chicken, the funny smelling chicken I ate. You're not getting that one in this episode. That's a teaser for the next episode. I think it's in the next episode. The rotten chicken experiment. I'm calling that bit lottery chicken. Okay, let's check out see if we got alcohol in our pub. No alcohol. Why are they not delivering alcohol? We don't have enough made. That's probably why. You know what? I think we could create a few more alcohol jobs. We got to get this filled. We're not going to really see the results of experiment number 2. I don't think this episode. Oh, we should reduce the number of jobs, though. Oh, someone. Wonder where the person that works there lives. So, how does this work? One person works there, right? Let's find them. And they're working at Dump City Pub, right? This I kind of expected. The first person gets the bar. You know, it's like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, right? The first guy on the spot gets the bar. That's how that bar works. In terms of funny shows, Always Sunny in Philadelphia is in my top 10. Again, I haven't watched any series. I don't watch television, but I will watch highlights of shows I find funny. You know, Patty's Pub is, let's just say, not a high-end bar. Okay, so there should be some alcohol going here once we have enough alcohol to sell. We created a few more alcohol jobs, and the train took them and sold it to Canada. Huh. Like literally all the society, all these people, all the work they do in a given year is just interest payments for the lenders. It means they all work for these people. Now, maybe I borrowed too much money. I'm not a expert at communism, but that's sort of what's happening right now. However, if I grow the population even more, then maybe the money can stay in. Right? How are we doing for our mall here? Okay, let's increase the priority of this a little bit. I don't know if we're going to get this. Let's make this high priority. Let's see if we can get this done by the end of the episode. You know what? I want to grab some people and move them in here. Where can we grab them? Maybe some from Chicago. Let's just quickly grab a few people out of Chicago. We can have a few deportees sent in Soviet America. We can do this in cities. We've established this is cool. Again, a lot of these buildings had a lot of problems in the winter, and here and there still fixing things up. Let me quickly check to see if they're all above 50% happiness at least. Okay, that one's 50, yep. Okay, oh, this one's into 60. We're slowly getting there. And the thing, oh, and there we go. I just made them unhappy again because I was too slow to borrow the money. So we need mostly concrete at that mall. And we have these 2 concrete mixers. Usually we have way too many concrete mixers, but in this situation, we don't have enough. So we're going to take a couple of dumpers out, and we're going to put a couple more on concrete just to maybe get this done before the end of the episode. We'll see. So you see here the 142 tons? It might be doable. We'll see. We'll see how fast those trucks can get there. I don't know if we're going to get the alcohol here because we're still not productive enough to produce alcohol. It's an interesting view here. This is a lot. You can see the trees. I sprayed some trees in. I think those might be somewhat new. So I'm just going to tell you the story of the 109-year-old man. I saw this on YouTube. And just so you know, he passed away a few years ago at 113 years old. So if you want to see some content, and the reason I'm doing this later in an episode is you might stop watching this and you might go watch something else on YouTube. And it's this 109-year-old man. I believe he lived in Austin, Texas. I think that's where he was. He's a black dude. He was in the military. I think he served in World War II. And this 109-year-old man on YouTube, like, this is a real story. Okay, first off, 109 years old is weird. This guy, and he wasn't living he wasn't a J.D. Rockefeller privileged life that kept him healthy. He was in the war, and the YouTube video you can see out there, he's literally got a driver's license at 109 years old, and he's driving his truck on the street. Okay? Now, if you know some older people, maybe 90 plus, You might go, well, maybe you shouldn't be driving a truck on a street. It's a little hard to do. This guy's 109 years old and has a license to drive. He has very thick glasses, I believe. And he tells us his secrets to life. And a few of them, and I learned from this, okay? Again, I like to learn a lot. The number one way you can market to me your authority of knowledge is something like this. You're 109 years old. You therefore know more than pretty much anyone else about how to live longer, right? Doctors will jump in and say, no, 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 I know better. But sorry, you're not 109 unless you're a 109-year-old doctor, I'm not going to listen to you. So a few things he did. He was part of a church group and he sang in choir, I think like once a week. He liked a certain type of ice cream. He had a little bit each day. I forget what type it was. It was not a common type. It wasn't chocolate or vanilla or strawberry. It was something else. Maybe it had almonds or something. You have to look it up. Look up the video of the specific type of ice cream. But also the thing that shocked me the most is he smoked a cigar every day. Okay? So this is why I don't quit smoking, okay? I smoke a little bit each day. And maybe I should do cigars. Maybe there's less chemicals in his cigars. Okay, and maybe he had a little bit more money than me because he had a pension and whatnot, so he's financially secure. But the fact that you can live 109 years old, be lucid enough to drive, have a driver's license, and you smoke a cigar every day. But he did die. He died at 113. And you know what got him? It's the regular cold. It was somewhere after COVID. I don't think it was COVID itself, but it was just a cold got him. He got very sick one day, so maybe too much time at the church. Maybe that was a bit of a mistake. Maybe he should have isolated a bit more. But again, if you get your energy from other people, then maybe you can see why someone would be like, I'll risk my life, right? And he was very common sense and just super smart guy too. Super smart. Obviously doesn't have any PhDs or whatever, or any nonsense capitalist title, but legitimate, real title of life is you're 109 years old and you have a driver's license. So check that out. Just an amazing story. Learn from this guy. If you want to learn how to live longer, learn from this guy. Let's check things out. Do we have alcohol in Dump City Pub yet? Why aren't they delivering alcohol? We're not selling it anymore to Canada. Should be stockpiling a little bit. There should be enough to send out there. How are we doing for a mall here? Did the extra concrete mixers accelerate this? Maybe. Maybe a bit. They should all be working though. And we do have a few more concrete jobs here. Kind of nice to see a lot of these vehicles parked here. The 3 plot lines we got to wind up here is, are we going to finish this shopping? Actually, there's 4. Are we going to finish the Hollywood Shopping Center? Am I going to go bankrupt? I don't think we're going to go bankrupt. Look at that. I think we're doing okay. We sold a bunch of stuff. Again, I did it just before the show started, so it seems like that makes us money. And my God, once we get connected by rail here, okay, this is now having that problem again. I don't know why. It's like too far away. So let's send this back. Send it back to workplace, and we're going to stop working on this one too. Maybe it has to be built from the other side. Maybe there's a range issue. I don't get that. It just has an error. And it doesn't explain anything. So I suspect the other track builder is going to have to build it. But it is getting close though, right? It could start working on it from the other end soon. Maybe the next episode will actually, like maybe during the episode it will get finished. And then I don't know what to do. We're going to have to set up a rail distribution office somewhere. So that'll be really cool. Okay, do we have Okay, there we go. Finally. What's this guy doing? There's a person here. They don't want to work here anymore? Okay, well, again, this is the experiment. This is experiment number 2. They don't want to work in the pub. There's a job right there. Like, Like, surely that they see they could serve alcohol. Surely someone else will move in here. Surely they'll get happier. I guess we'll find out next episode. This is a long-term project. Pretty sure they'll die by winter. So this is Brento's favorite domestic terrorist. Okay? So you're probably thinking, what kind of a video streamer has a favorite terrorist? Okay? Now, I don't know the guy's name, but I just tell you what he did. So it was a kid who was in I think he was in Washington State. So you might have heard of this guy. So he was like 15, 16 years old, came from a really broken home. He was just a white kid, but sometimes the white kids have, you assume that someone white is rich and going to give them money, but that's the problem. No one helps some of these people. And this kid had a really bad, he basically ran away from home as a teenager and started living in the forest, breaking into people's houses, stealing their food, living in their houses. The reason why I admire this kid, because this is absolutely crazy. The story of this kid, just look it up. I think it's Washington State, maybe Oregon or something like that, in the Pacific Northwest. Basically grew up in a trailer park, and then it fell apart, and he was just literally living in the woods in a tent. And he was living near airports. And what he would do is he would wander onto the airstrips and steal airplanes. Now, this is absolutely insane. When he would take the plane, I guess when he was younger, or maybe he had a phone app or something, but he apparently was playing flight simulators somewhere. He stole multiple cars, and then he started stealing planes, and no one could catch this kid. He has no address. He's living in the woods. They have no clue where he's coming from. And this guy stole multiple planes, not knowing how to fly a plane, but he figured out how to start them up. I guess maybe it was from video games he learned this. And then it came to the situation where he had to land. He basically crashed them, but gently enough that he survived each time. To me, this is just an insane story. So eventually he gets wanted, and I think he flies a plane to the Caribbean, and there's Interpol, everyone's chasing this guy across the continent, and numerous times he could have been killed just by crashing alone. But there's authorities. He's Grand Theft Auto max stars, real life max star. He stole a plane, and he literally lands in some Caribbean island, and the authorities, and he's taunting the authorities. He steals boats while he's there, but he's a clever guy. He's the perfect example of someone falling through the cracks, where this guy's clearly brilliant, but no one to guide him, no one to give him any money, no support anywhere. Literally, his own mother basically disowned him, right? He has no one at all supporting the guy. But in the end, they actually caught him alive, and they detained him, and I don't know where he is now. He's probably a CIA agent, is my theory, that he's covert. If you can get away with doing that, it's like the 109-year-old man story. If you're a 109-year-old man, you should be listened to more than any top surgeon, any top doctor in the world. Common sense. It would make sense if the CIA did capture him. He is working for them. That's my theory of what he is. But he is a domestic terrorist that I admire. It's an amazing story. Look it up. Just the teenager who stole planes in Washington State, I think it was. Crazy, crazy stuff. Again, that's another thing I found on YouTube. You don't see this stuff on, regular networks. This is why I don't watch regular television that much. It's just too boring. Okay, well, I think we're avoiding bankruptcy. We're gaining a little bit more. That's just, okay, they decided to get a job here after all. They don't have drinking water here, but that's too bad. You probably don't want this drinking water. Trust me. We'll see how that works. That's part of experiment number 3. Are we going to have our mall built on time before the episode ends? I don't know. Well, maybe we will. Maybe we will. Maybe I'll stretch this one out. They're so close. We'll see if that starts fixing things. Well, it's good to see something get built. Let's just check out what's going on in the world here. My microphone's not as annoying as previous episodes. I am a little bit further back, because I probably could reduce the gain a little bit more. Again, thanks a lot, Logitech, for screwing around with my setting. Again, constant updates. Constant updates, fake, it's capitalism, fake jobs. Like, I get it. I'm a software engineer. That's why I'm doing this. Because there's too many software engineers and the capitalists do not like to hire local. Like, imagine you're a doctor or a lawyer, topping your SATs, and you were taught in the 1990s that engineers get paid the same, and you just picked the engineering profession. You just thought, man, it's more practical. I can make the machinery to make everything else work better. And then throughout your career, rather than getting appreciated for your ability, they outsourced your job. They just said, you know what? Let's get third world countries to do all the lawyer and doctor work. Companies will create firms that will outsource all of that. And therefore, you're going to have to take a much, much, much lower salary. How would you feel about that? You know, that's the life of most engineers, is that they've taken a pay cut to keep a job, and or they just won't hire you. They have too many foreign options that are competing for your job. And it is happening a little bit now. You're just starting to see the edge of it. What you're experiencing as a lawyer or doctor right now, where you see foreign workers coming in to replace you and force your salaries down, is what I experienced 20 years ago in the early 2000s when they said, hey, let's do this with engineers, because capitalists came along. Old money decided that, well, let's just use foreigners. We don't care what the cost of living is. And the foreigners don't realize the salaries we offer them won't really let them save much unless they live in poverty conditions. And they just continue to do that. And you're starting to see it now in other higher end professions. And eventually, the way capitalism works and the way it's designed to work is there'll only be one survivor. Eventually, there'll just be the billionaires left, and then which one of the billionaires gets filtered out? And it just goes on until we're all dead. That's how capitalism's designed to work. Again, I've been complaining about this for a while. I got a show. I'm doing this professionally now, and I get to tell these stories. Obviously, with capitalist controlled media, they won't allow me to speak. This story can't be told if I was funded by anyone. This is just me making diaries of the end of capitalism in a show, in a simulation that shows you the falsehoods that, you need private, like, we're able to do this as a nationalized government in the game here in this simulation. Capitalism's you're brainwashed. Maybe one of the next things we got to do is restrict the rules on who can control television stations. That'd probably be a good next move. Too many private interests, too many little cliques of businessmen living the high life off the backs of everyone else and taking credit for other people's work and thinking, well, this is fine the way it works. Well, why don't you ask the people who do the work, ask them if they'd like to be paid a little bit more. Maybe. It's not sustainable. And it's just fundamentally stupid. Okay? You're not special if you're rich. You really aren't. You're just lucky. You're basically just lucky. It's been established. Check out Deportations. He did a numbers analysis on this, and it's mostly luck. And if you were born with a fortunate situation, 95% of it. What zip code were you born in? Right? That's the number one factor in determining success in life, is where you're born. Where were you born? Were you born into a rich family or not? Okay? Because if you were, that's why you're successful. The system is designed to continue this every generation. Okay? And don't get me wrong, we do need some specialists, and there are some people who are aware of it. There's an organization where millionaires are asking for higher taxation. Join that organization. They understand this is going to unravel all of society if the rich don't pay their fair share of taxes. So get involved in that. If you're a successful person, give it to people who deserve it and need it. Okay? But to say that you've earned it and you pay the correct amount of taxes, people with lives like mine, where I've worked full-time for over a decade and made nothing, that's ridiculous. There's people on welfare who've earned more money than me, not contributing anything. I'm in a really unusual case, okay? My experience has let me justifiably make a show like this. But then there's the working poor, the people who work 40 hours a week and they make minimum wage, and they do this for years and years, and they're loyal to a business owner. They're loyal to a brand, and they don't realize the big joke is they're going to die in poverty, and that there's nothing for them while these rich people go on and take all the resources for themselves. Let's see some fixes in society. Let's see some massive increases in taxation and more intelligent spending. Furthermore, let poor people decide how it's spent. I did a clip on that once too. My theory that you need different people deciding how civic budgets are spent. How do you solve homelessness? Get homeless people involved in the solution, right? Okay, let's just see this last thing get built here. I think I'm gonna end the episode on this here. We're getting so close. Actually, we could probably do it now. Maybe we can close the episode on this. So did we resolve? Let's just do a quick check here. Is there 2 people here? Is there one person serving the other? No. Oh, there's 2 people living here. Okay, well, that'll be for next episode. We'll have to see how... That's experiment 2, okay? Maybe that'll be the name of the next episode. But I think this one here, now we're going to have a mall for next episode once we get one more concrete truck delivery here. I think we got plenty of concrete. Let's find the truck that's delivering it, and then we'll end the episode on that. Where is the last concrete truck needed? 3.1 tons. It's probably going down this highway somewhere. This nice fast highway. I'm just going to sign out. It's been an interesting episode. Doesn't feel like too bad of an episode. Maybe clunky at times. You can always edit out the clunky parts. You can always fix the audio. It's not a big deal. As long as the topics are entertaining. As long as we don't go bankrupt, right? We can do another episode. It's always good. Always good to have enough money to continue to operate. Let's just see. Where's our last concrete truck? I want to follow it as it delivers it. Oh, there it is. Let's do this. You have enough money? Yeah, I think we got enough money for a bit. I want to sign out just as the episode ends. I want this to finish. And then I still got to load it up between episodes, and that will vastly improve the quality of life in these houses here. And these could become some of our most productive people. We're continuing to fill things up. We're continuing to recover. Hopefully next year, maybe we'll have the rail connected. Maybe we'll be able to operate the way we want to, that we can get some of those rubles in. There it is, it's done. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you like, you dislike about the show. Lots of crazy stuff. And you're supposed to yell at me. Some of the stuff I say, I'm just saying it for entertainment purposes. I have to have a variety of topics, unique topics. I'm not regurgitating the same information. I'm basically trying my best to make an interesting show for you. Play some video games. Maybe you learn a bit about the video game. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next week.